How's it going, guys? It's Tom here with my topic expansion, nonverbal communication. So, nonverbal communication in my mind is arguably one of the most important parts of communication, just because of its characteristics, which I'll go over in a little bit, and the fact that it just kind of spans over all forms of communication. You can be attentive when you listen, such as like eye contact and stuff like that, or just anything you do really that you're communicating. Even texting nowadays, you add in emojis for effect. That's kind of a nonverbal communication. It's less than the norm of your face and your gestures because you get to choose which one you receive, but nonetheless, it's still part of it. So my article that I chose was by Susan Adams, a writer at Forbes. It's called "The Secrets of Nonverbal Communication." She wrote about someone named Joe Navarro. Joe Navarro, not a hard name, I'm sorry. But he was a retired special agent from the FBI, Energy State Department, and Institutes of Defense Analysis. So he has a little bit of a background in just reading people, and he's generally successful. So the self-taught nonverbal clue reader that comes from his family and him actually fled Cuba, and he didn't speak a lick of English once he got to America, so he used nonverbal cues to kind of get through life, and he turned that into a career, which turned into him writing the book Louder Than Words: Take Your Career from Average to Exceptional with a Hidden Power of Nonverbal Intelligence. So everything that Susan wrote was actually about Joe, and that Joe found out. So we'll be talking about all of Joe's ideas. Actually, we'll be talking about a couple things from the book first that you guys already know. The characteristics of communication, which are listed right in front of you. I'm not going to read them off, but I'll talk about them a little bit. Just real quick. So you're always communicating nonverbal cues. Whether or not you know about it or not, that's a different story. And these communicative cues, or nonverbal cues, excuse me, are always pretty powerful. They're ambiguous, meaning that sometimes you don't really know what they mean, sometimes you do, you're not quite sure what they are. And these powerful, ambiguous cues are the ones that often express what the speaker actually means. And it affects career success. We'll get into that in a second. And for Culture Bound, we're pretty much only going to be talking about the US culture, as that's the only one I'm familiar enough to talk about, and that's what the article was written about. So it all starts with the first impression. You only get your first impression once. So don't blow that one. Don't let your clothes do the talking for you. You should, as Joe Navarro says here, observe how upper management dresses and follow their lead. Casualness can kill credibility. So don't let your clothes do the talking, let you do the talking. Don't have your clothes be the thing that stands out the most. However, you also need to make sure that you're, decently well kept, that you're not looking like a scrub like I am in some of these pictures. So moving on to the beefy part of the video / presentation, gestures and poses, postures, gestures and postures. So these are going to be pictures of me doing different postures and different poses, and I'll talk a little bit about each one. Here we have the power pose. This is the classic, I'm the boss, I am in charge of everything. My fingers are interlaced on the back of my head. I'm leaning back, my legs crossed. I'm feeling pretty comfortable. I'm pretty feeling dominant in this picture. But only the jefe should be doing this. Only the top dog should be doing this, because that is a sure sign of dominance. I know what I'm talking about. So my fingers, it's called steepled fingers. So this one's pretty simple. It means that I am confident and I am focused on what I'm talking about. Thumbs up, baby. I'm optimistic about what's going to happen. I'm focused. Sorry, not focused. I'm optimistic, and I just have a positive outlook that whatever I'm talking about right now, it's going to get done. On the flip side, hidden thumbs, that's never a good sign. That just means that I'm a little insecure right now. I'm not very sure of myself. This isn't a good pose. This is not a power pose that you want to have. However, the next pose, fire away. I'm ready to listen. I'm comfortable. My head is tilted slightly. My neck is exposed. I got a big smile on my face. So this shows that I'm comfortable in the situation, that I think this is a friendly environment, and I'm ready to listen to whatever you have to say. On the flip side of the coin, I'm pretty uncomfortable and doubtful in this picture. This does not look like a guy who is going to buy something. This does not look like the guy who you want to buy something from. I'm touching the back of my neck. I'm a little uncomfortable, pretty doubtful. This is another bad power pose. And even worse than I'm doubtful and uncomfortable, I'm concerned. My hand is over what they call the dimple at the base of my neck, which is basically showing that I'm a little fearful about what's going to happen. I'm a little worried about what you're saying to me right now, and I don't have all the confidence in the world about what's going on in this environment. So if you kind of think about yourself right now and you think, wow, all of those poses are, excuse me, sorry, I got tripped up in my notes a little bit. So if you're looking at some of these negative poses that I was showing you earlier and you're thinking, oh no, this is what I do all the time, here's a couple things that you can do actually it's in the book too. I'm just explaining a little bit more how to improve your nonverbal communication. So the number one thing is self-monitoring. I mean, everyone asks themselves, hey, how am I doing right now? How am I feeling about all this? And if you just ask yourself, like, what are my hands doing? What am I doing with myself? Then that's already improving your nonverbal communication a little bit more. Just thinking about what you're doing and trying to improve yourself will actually lead to an improvement. But you shouldn't overdo it, seeing as sometimes you could get a little self-conscious, which makes it worse. Like if you're nervous and you know you're nervous and you start kind of pacing back and forth, fidgeting with stuff, putting your hands in your pockets, and then you realize that you're doing that, that can make things worse. So just don't overdo it with that, and make sure that in the end you're just comfortable with what you are and who you are. Not what you are, just who you are. And immediacy, that's just kind of the behaviors that are linked with how close you are to someone, how attentive you are to them, where you are in proximity to them, your eye contact. So just if you're mindful about your nonverbal communication while you're listening to someone, that could also help out in your relationships, in your career, in whatever comes your way. That's why I think that nonverbal communication is actually probably one of the more important parts of communication. And I know I'm not covering all of it in this one because of the pure depth and scope of the topic. But I hope this slideshow kind of gave you guys a little bit of a look, a little bit of an expansion into nonverbal communication. So that wraps it up. Have a great rest of the day.